Hi everyone, welcome to day 22 of Journaling Together. Today we're going to talk about ego. It is a very important topic, especially as you're trying to make progress in your personal development and your well-being. And I wanted to talk about where it comes from, what it is, first of all, where it comes from and how it shows up and what you can do about it. So ego basically is part of the mind that processes information, that reacts to things in a self-preservation mode, if you will. It is that kind of reaction and voice that you hear that is often very rude. You might hear yourself processing something, and it's a voice that you hear that's very rude, and it's very needy. It's very needy. It wants to be right. It wants likes. It needs a lot of external validation. And as opposed to your intuitive voice, that's also there. And that's what we do when we tap into our journaling. That's the voice that we're connecting with, our authentic, ego-less self. And that voice is much different. It's soft-spoken. It's under the radar, kind of, if you will. It's not loud at all. It's loving. It's clear. And it's very kind. So it might seem pretty obvious as I say this. Yeah, that's my ego. And yeah, that's my intuitive voice. But it's difficult. It's difficult because it lives in a space of your mind between your subconscious thinking, so you're not even aware of it, and oftentimes we're not aware of it, and the conscious mind, where we are aware. And as we practice identifying ego, it becomes a lot easier to say, wait, I'm receiving this information and processing and handling it and reacting to it. But it's my ego doing that work. I need to push that aside, push my ego aside so that I can allow myself the vulnerability, the space that I need in order to move forward in the way that is best for me. So I hope that I made that clear of what ego is versus intuitive thinking. And we're kind of looking at all of these tools, all of these ways to journal and to think and to reflect, to improve relationships and all of that, if you look at the past videos. And it's important that what shows up on the page is your intuitive thinking, which is, if you don't process and if you allow yourself to write from a place of exploration and vulnerability, most times your intuitive thinking, your intuitive self will come through on the page. And that's why it's important not to think about it as you write. But sometimes that sneaky ego gets in there, and it's important to let it out. Yeah, even if it's ego, just let it out. But when you're done, it is important to look to see, is that my intuitive voice or is that my ego, needy, rude, self-preservation? Because it wants you to be right. It wants you to feel comfortable. It wants to control you, if you will. And once you get into the habit of identifying it, what happens is you can identify it in real life. It's not always easy, and it's always there, knocking on the door, wanting to be let in, or blocking the door, not letting you go out. So the more we do this, the more we become aware, and the more we practice setting ego aside. And that sometimes feels uncomfortable. We don't want to be wrong. We don't want to, kind of feel, raw and exposed. But the more we identify with this and do it in a safe way, pushing our ego aside, we'll feel more comfortable and welcoming. That intuitive voice would lead us to greater benefit. So I just wanted to say that as we turn to the page this morning, to release whatever it is that is on our minds and set the intention for today. How do you want today to go? How do you want the rest of your week to go? It's very powerful to manifest what we intend. And by setting the intention, you give room for that possibility to happen. So with that said, we're going to start our 5 minutes of journaling together right now. Here we go.